Alrighty. So over on Google Classroom, hopefully our new assignment should be posted. So on Google Classroom, down for social studies, you should have a new assignment called Scientific Revolution. We are doing social studies. The scientific revolution was a time period in the Middle Ages where science became a really big thing in the world. So we're going to need to open up the Google document to answer questions on and the PDF to read the information about. So there is one page of things that we will read about, answer some questions, and then there is a second page that we will do. So I don't think it'll take us too long. So go ahead and get both of those open, please, and thank you. And we'll get going here in about 2 minutes. Yoshi, get it open, please. Bradford, close out of it. Data, go to social studies. I love Go Guardian. This is Go Guardian. This website that I'm on where I can see everybody's screens. Okay. Alrighty, we're getting a couple of you guys ready. We'll wait about 30 more seconds for you guys to get these opened up. And then we'll get going. Maudie, did you listen to the earlier Panic at the Disco stuff? She's not listening to me. Did you listen to the earlier Panic at the Disco stuff? Did you like it? Alright. Okay, let's go ahead and get going. We're going to get zoomed in on these so that we can see questions. 150 is pretty good for the document. And then for this thing, let's zoom in a couple here. There we go. So what we're going to do is let's preview the questions we need to answer first, and then I'll read through it so you guys know what you're looking for. So the scientific revolution. First one you're going for is, how did ancient people explain scientific events? Second one, how did Christian belief reinforce the thought that Earth was the center of the universe? Number 3, how did Nicholas Copernicus change earlier thinking about the universe? Number 4, Helios is the Greek god, or the Greek word for sun. How do you think it influences the name of Copernicus's theory? Number 5, how did Galilei change the church and its teachings? Number 6, how did using mathematics to explain the world create problems for church leaders? Number 7, how did Kepler contribute to this revolution in scientific thinking? Number 8, how did Bacon contribute to the revolution? We're learning a lot about Sir Francis Bacon lately. Number 9, what ideas did Newton develop to further explain the world? Number 10, what did one risk when they opposed the teachings of the Christian church? The hint here is to look at paragraphs 2 and 3. And number 11, a revolution is a dramatic change in the way that something works. What is the word appropriate for this time, or why is the word appropriate for this time period? So we're going to read through page number 1 on here, and you guys will answer the questions about it. Capiche? Alrighty. So, scientific revolution. We'll go paragraph by paragraph, and I'll let you guys answer some questions after each paragraph, okay? In ancient times, most scientific phenomenon was explained through storytelling and myths. For example, according to the ancient Greeks, fire arrived on Earth when Prometheus stole it from the gods. The Olympic gods then punished Prometheus by chaining him to a rock where an eagle pecked out his liver during the day. His liver would grow back overnight, and the eagle would return each day to torture Prometheus by repeating the task. That's a myth, it's not real. This is not to suggest that the Greeks were not scientists. Many Greek scholars, such as Aristotle, committed their lives to studying the Earth and its surroundings. Aristotle provided theories as to the workings of the universe that most accepted at the time: that the Earth was round, stars were fixed in the sky and everything in the universe revolved around the Earth. Is that true? Does everything in the universe revolve around the Earth? No. What does it revolve around? The sun. Good. Are stars fixed in the sky? Kinda. The Earth rotates. The stars kind of stay in the general location that they are, right? So let's go look at what questions we can answer. Number one, the first thing: how did ancient people explain scientific events? You can answer this from paragraph 1. I'm just going to tell you which paragraph they're in. You guys will need to answer them. I don't think we answered number 2 yet. So it's only the only question you can answer in paragraph 1 is question number 1. So I'll give you guys about 2 minutes. Here's your hint. Look at the first sentence of the whole thing, and that'll be your answer. I believe they do go in order. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go read the second paragraph, and then we will fill out the questions we can from the second paragraph. Ready? Next paragraph. Paragraph 2 says, these ideas of the Earth is the center of the universe, all those ideas, right? These ideas were accepted through the history of the Roman Empire and only grew in popularity as the Christian Church dominated public and private life starting in the 6th century. To European Christians, the idea that Earth was the center of the universe was an obvious one. Since Christianity taught that God created the universe, the humans were made in God's image, it only made sense that Earth was the center of God's great design. Few defied or went against the church-supported belief, since to do so meant risking the crime of heresy. The punishment for heresy was excommunication, which meant to ban someone from religious services, or even deeper fear of being banned from a heavenly afterlife. So let's go look at what questions can be answered from paragraph 2. Number 2, how did Christian belief reinforce the thought that the Earth was the center of the universe? Can be answered in paragraph 2. Did we see an answer for number 3 yet? How did Nicholas Copernicus change earlier thinking about the universe? No, we haven't talked about him yet. So paragraph 2, I'll give you guys about 2 minutes to answer the question for that one. Okay, so I'm just giving you guys the hints about where these things are, not the answers, right? Okay. One more minute, we'll look at the next paragraph.
How many paragraphs are there?
I do not know. Okay. Ready for the next paragraph? Okay. Paragraph 3 says, in 1543, Nicholas Copernicus, a Renaissance-era mathematician and astronomer, sent shockwaves through the church and the continent when he spoke about a new theory. It was called the Heliocentric Theory, and it used mathematical formulas to prove that the sun was the center of the universe. Fearing the backlash from the church, Copernicus refused to publish his work until after his death. So he didn't want to get excommunicated or kicked out of the church, so he waited until after he was dead for his work to be released. Once it was released, the church labeled it as hearsay, so going against the church, and called anyone who spoke of it a heretic, someone who went against the church. When Italian monk Giordano Bruno agreed with Copernicus and extended his own theories in 1593, he was burned alive at the stake for going against the church. Despite the risk, Copernicus was just the beginning of a new scientific revolution that sought to better explain the workings of the world. So, let's go answer a couple of these things. First, number 3, how did Nicholas Copernicus change earlier thinking about the universe? So that's in paragraph 3. So how did he change the thinking of the universe? Number 4, Helios is the Greek word for sun. How do you think this influenced the name of Copernicus's theory? Is also in paragraph 3. And that's as far as we've gotten with that one. We haven't talked about Galileo yet.
Paige Sultan and Isabel Johnson, please come to the office. Paige Sultan and Isabel Johnson, please come to the office.
Alrighty, I'll give you guys about 2 minutes to answer number 3 and 4. Okay, make sure you guys are working on it. Again, this is one that will be graded, so you want to just kind of follow along, get it done as we go, then you don't have to worry about it later, right? Ellis Mills. Okay, about 30 more seconds, and then we will look at the next paragraph. Oh, man. Ready? Okay, next paragraph. Says, in 1591, scientist Galileo Galilei further angered the church when he demonstrated that all objects, no matter its weight, fall at the same rate of speed. Which is not necessarily true, right? We kind of tested that out. But that's what they could figure out at the time, right? We have better technology now. Galileo stood atop the Leaning Tower of Pisa and used mathematical formulas, dropped a 1-pound weight and a 100-pound weight. Both weights hit the ground at the same time. In 1610, he uses a telescope to observe Jupiter's moons. And in 1630, Galileo used the laws of physics to further prove that the Earth revolves around the sun. The church charged him with hearsay and demanded that he recant or take back his life's work. When Galileo refused, he was ordered to house arrest. Why was the church so upset about his discoveries? using mathematical formulas to prove that all matter in the universe followed certain principles. To the church, that interfered with the Christian belief that God was in control of all things. So it went against the church and what they taught to have science be a thing. So number 5 says, how did Galileo change the church and its teaching? We can answer that one in paragraph 4. Number 6, how did using mathematics to explain the world create problems for church leaders? Is again in, oh, whoops, I don't know what I just did. I don't want to print this, no. Bye. There we go. Paragraph 4. So 5 and 6 are in paragraph 4. Give you about 2 minutes.
Number 8 is what did Bacon contribute to the revolution? That is not what it is. I think that's what you're trying to do. I don't like bacon. I like bacon. I kind of like sausage. I like it better than bacon, is what I said. You don't like bacon.
Alrighty.
I don't get them because you don't get what.
So using math to explain how the world worked, like being able to drop things and them landing at the same time wasn't because God wanted it to happen. It was because there's actual math and physics behind it. So the science went against what the church taught. So it goes against the church leaders, what they taught, right? No, science has been a lot more widely accepted nowadays than back then.
Science helps explain so many things.
It does. That is true.
Why flies, like when the wind gets it, like why it stays up, and why when the wind doesn't get it, it stays down. That's science.
It is. And why? Yeah, or why disease spreads. That's science as well, right? Did? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to read the next paragraph. So this will be paragraph 5, which is the last paragraph here. So I'm assuming the rest of these are hopefully in the last paragraph. So let's look at these. Others contributed to the revolution, so the scientific revolution, where science was becoming really big and the revolution of science started to change the way people thought about the world. That's what a scientific revolution means, okay? So others contributed to the revolution in different ways. In the early 17th century, Johannes Kepler built on Copernicus's work by studying the orbits that planets take as they revolve around the sun. He discovered that planets do not revolve around the sun in circles, but rather ellipses, or ovals. In 1620, Francis Bacon, so Sir Francis Bacon, we learned about him yesterday with Shakespeare too, he established a process that all scientists now use to develop and prove their theories. It is called the scientific method, and the process today is taught to students in elementary schools across the world. First, one makes an observation and then develops a question to research. Next, you make a hypothesis or a prediction as to what you might find. Then you conduct an experiment and keep good records. Finally, you look at the results and you draw a conclusion. 60 years later, Isaac Newton published one of the most influential books in history about the laws of motion. In the book, Newton explained the law of inertia, that objects at rest will stay at rest, and objects in motion will stay in motion, unless they are acted upon by an outside force. So a ball will stay still if there's no pressure put on it. If you push the ball, it's going to roll. It's in motion. The only way the ball will stop is if something stops it, right? Or gravity. Gravity can stop it, but that's a law of motion. Okay. In other words, all objects will remain at rest unless they are compelled to move by an external force, and they will not stop until a force acts upon the now moving object. Newton also explained the simple law that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. When seated in a chair, you are exerting force into the chair, but the chair also exerts force back to keep you seated. When a jet is flying in the air, the force exerted by the engine is balanced by the force of the wings against the wind resistance. Okay? So, lots of different scientific things here. If we go back to it, number 7 can be answered in paragraph 5. Okay, so can number 8. And number 9. These are all different scientists that contributed to the scientific revolution. Number 10 is kind of have to go back through. It does give you the hint to look at paragraphs 2 and 3. Why or what did one risk? So what did a person risk when they opposed the teachings of the Christian church? So what could happen to them? And number 11, a revolution is a dramatic change in the way that something works. Why could this be called the scientific revolution? Why is that an appropriate name for what was happening during this time period? So those two are kind of opinions and have to put all of them in there. So I'll let you guys work on those for a couple of minutes. Maybe 3 or 4 minutes to get 7 through 11 done. Maybe a little bit longer if needed. Okay? So go ahead and be working on numbers 7 through 11. If you're done, sit tight. We will look at the rest of the next page in a little bit. Okay? If you're just joining us, we just did one part of the scientific revolution assignment. We're going to do part 2 here in just a few minutes. But this video will be up on Schoology later for you guys.
What's the word that,
Okay. They're jamming in there. Yeah. No, not really. A couple minutes ago to go to the restroom. Yoshi, you alive over there? Just making sure. I didn't think he was dead. I just. A couple more minutes to finish up numbers 1 through 11, just to have short answers there. They do not need to be complete sentences. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. You were doing awesome this morning. You guys kick it really far. I think you're going to do great. All right. 2 more minutes, and then we will look at the second part of this assignment. Okay. My thing made a noise over here, so it's probably that. Oh, Jada, put this stuff away. Jada, I will take it and keep it. Put it away in your backpack, please. Okay, well, you guys are doing a lot of talking, so I'm going to assume we're done, and we are going to move on. So if we scroll down to the second page, we are going to talk about Cardinal Nicholas Schonberg sent a letter to Nicholas Copernicus on November 1st, 1536. So before we read it, we are going to answer these three questions. Number one, it says, who is writing the letter? Which Nicholas?
Nicholas Schonberg.
Okay, Darwin, spell that for me. Nicholas, how does he spell it? Uh-huh. Okay, what's his last name? Schonberg. Schonberg. So, who is writing the letter? So, Nicholas Schonberg is writing it. Who was he writing to? Not Tesla. Nice try, though. Nicholas Copernicus. Good. Here's our answer for that one. We're doing these three together, and then you guys will answer the other questions about it on your own. So, before we read it, we're just answering these three questions. Nicholas Schonberg is writing the letter to Nicholas Copernicus. Where did I find that out? How do I know that?
Above it.
It says it above it. Good. Okay. Give you about 30 seconds to get that typed out, and we'll look at number 2. Okay. Number 2 talks about cardinals. So cardinals, not the football team. Cardinals are a high-ranking religious official in the Catholic Church. So someone who's really high up in the Catholic Church. Their primary job is to advise the Pope and choose a new Pope when the time comes. So Nicholas Schonberg is a cardinal. So he is an advisor to the Pope. It asks, what do you expect Cardinal Schonberg's opinion to be of Copernicus? So Copernicus was going against the church. So do you think that Cardinal Schonberg liked him?
No.
Why not?
Because he was a cardinal.
Not even because of that. Why wouldn't he like him?
Because he had the same name as him.
No. Think about what happened to people that didn't follow the church's rules. Kind of. Not executed. Excommunicated. Excommunicated means that you're kicked out of the church. So Cardinal Schonberg probably didn't like him. Probably did not like Copernicus because he was talking. Yeah, he was going against what the church was saying. So Cardinal Schonberg probably didn't like Copernicus because he was speaking out and talking about science in a way that the church didn't want people to believe in science, right? They wanted them to just believe that God gave the reason that the planets revolve the way they do is because of God, or the reason that objects fall to Earth the same way is because of God, not because of math or science or things like that. Okay? You should be typing these out because I'm giving you answers, Yoshi. Oh. About 30 more seconds on this one. All right. Number 3. So this is a letter written from the cardinal to Nicholas Copernicus, who is going against the church. What are your predictions about what he might be writing this letter about?
You were banned from the church.
So maybe he's saying you are banned.
I hate you.
So he might be banning Copernicus from the church. That's a good idea. What else might he be writing about?
I hate you.
Not necessarily I hate you.
You're not funny. Your teachings are false.
So you're teaching, what you are saying is wrong? What Copernicus was teaching was wrong. Do you think he'd want him to continue teaching about it? So stop teaching about it? They probably met in real life, I'm sure. Nicholas was a pretty common name back then too. Obviously. Yes. Give you guys about 1 minute to write this, and then we will go and read through this letter that was sent to him and answer those questions. You gotta wake up, people.
I know, but I was falling asleep over here, and I felt like I was calling me back, so I had to get up. I almost did.
All right.
I almost did right there.
Are we ready to read through the letter? Okay. We're gonna read through this letter then, and we'll answer questions 4, 5, and 6 after. Okay. So the letter is on page number 2. This is the letter. Here we go. It says, this is from Cardinal Nicholas Schoenberg to Nicholas Copernicus on November 1st, 1536. It says, some years ago, word reached me concerning your proficiency, of which everybody constantly spoke. At that time, I began to have a very high regard for you, and also to congratulate our contemporaries among whom you enjoyed such great prestige. For I had learned that you had not merely mastered the discoveries of ancient astronomers uncommonly well, but had also formulated new cosmology, or new formulas. In it, you maintain that the earth moves, that the sun occupies the lowest, and thus the central place in the universe, that the eighth heaven remain perpetually motionless and fixed, and that together with the elements included in its sphere, the moon, situated between the heavens of Mars and Venus, revolves around the sun in a period of the year. I have also learned, I thought you said something. I've also learned that you have written an exposition of this whole system of astronomy, and have computed the planetary motions and set them down in tables, to the greatest admiration of all. Therefore, with the utmost earnest, I entreat you, most learned sir, unless I inconvenience you, to communicate this discovery of yours to scholars, and at the earliest possible moment to send me your writings on the sphere of the universe, together with the tables, and whatever else you have that is relevant to the subject. Moreover, I have instructed Theodoric of Redden to have everything copied in your quarters at my expense and dispatched to me. If you gratify my desires in this matter, you will see that you are dealing with a man who is zealous for your reputation and eager to do justice to so fine a talent. Farewell. Anybody understood what that said?
No, it was the opposite of what we thought.
It was the opposite of what we thought. What Nicholas Schoenberg is writing is that he thinks very highly of Nicholas Copernicus, and that he's really glad that he found these discoveries, and that they're going to be very important in the world. We're going to make copies of them and all of that stuff. So let's go answer. Yeah.
These are the exact words. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it.
Those are the exact words, yes. All right. So I would like you guys to answer these questions. They don't need to be complete sentences. So this is from the letter. I'm just going to tell you where to find it. So from the letter, you need to describe how does Schoenberg view Copernicus? What evidence do you have? And then, number 5, what role does Theodoric of Redden have in this letter? Does he show respect or disdain for Copernicus? What is disdain? Disdain is hatred, right? So does he respect or hate Copernicus? And finally, what does it say about the church's opposition and Copernicus's charge of hearsay when Schoenberg sends this letter? 3 questions there. Once you are done, that is the end of the assignment, and you can get it turned in. So as you finish typing out your answers, feel free to get it turned in. If you're online, you can get logged off. We are done for the day, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for ELA. Tomorrow's schedule will be the same. Go back to normal, not how it is today. So it'll be a normal schedule tomorrow, with social studies being at 12:30 instead of 12 o'clock like it was today. So just make sure you finish all of the questions on here. So 1 through 11 goes with the first page of the reading. And then on the next page, numbers 1 through 6 go with the letter that we just read. Once you finish all of that up, you can get it turned in. And like I said, we will see you tomorrow morning for ELA. Keep in mind that anything that you have missing is due Thursday at 3 o'clock. If I don't have it, it stays a 0. Grades are due on Friday morning, and I won't be doing any grading after that time. So, has to be done by Thursday at 3 o'clock. Sound good? All right. Yeah, when you're done, you can get it turned in. I'm going to stop our recording and let you guys just be working on that. I'll turn on a little bit.